Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following Chelsea 2, Plymouth Argyle 1 after extra time. And well, I'm only slightly chirpy because, thanks to two Spanish heroes, I'm not, especially of one of them, I'm not usually a big fan of, but, big up Marcus Alonso coming to the rescue. And Kepa, the quite literally the master of penalty stoppers. I personally have never seen a better penalty stopper than Kepa Arrizibalaga. I've never seen it. Okay, obviously I haven't seen every goalkeeper save every penalty like I do for Chelsea goalkeepers, but still, the man is outrageous. The man, the fear of potential penalties before Alonso scored, I was like, it's fine, we have Kepa, we're going to win, it's calm. The only thing that scared me a little bit was like, Lukaku's guaranteed to miss his, so, that's a bit unfortunate. But, Alonso turned up sooner, and then Kepa got to save a penalty even before we got to penalty, so everything's great. Not really, because Lukaku keeps starting every game, and at some point, this is becoming a little bit unacceptable. I'm a big fan of Thomas Tuchel. But until someone gives me proof that this is not his decision that he keeps starting and he's forced from, above him, I'm going to start to have to question this. Because how on earth did Lukaku play 120 minutes? I do not understand. Because, quite frankly, beyond me. But there was plenty of other poor performances on today. Of course, Thomas Tuchel, I say of course, you might not have realised, but Thomas Tuchel, unfortunately, testing positive for the Rona yesterday, today, whenever it was. So not on the sidelines today, was replaced by his two assistants, Scholt Löw and Arno Michels. But hopefully, by the time we get to the Club World Cup final next Sunday, Thomas Tuchel might or might not be there. Who knows, right? At least that's what they say. They hope for. Let's see if it can happen or not. But, yeah, we're through. We're better than Man United, so that's something. But, we played basically our strongest 11, and we needed to go to extra time against a League One opposition. So that's not fantastic. But hey, we'll get through it. Starting on the chirpy note, we did at least win. But when we get into the thicker things, there were a fair few things that we need to criticize. To do so, to criticize and to praise, we're joined by three fantastic guests on today. Let me start by, is it your second or your third time, VJ? I'm not 100% sure. VJ, thank you for joining us, as always. How you been, mate? And what's your reaction to that result?
I thought it would be just a quick victory for us, and then we'll keep moving on. Yesterday, when we were doing score predictions back at Blue Lounge, people were predicting 7-0, 6-0, and this result is completely opposite to that. With credit to just not Plymouth, most of the championship side which came in for this week, they performed good. Like Middlesbrough yesterday, I guess West Ham. There's an opposition that's playing West Ham. I'm not able to pronounce their name properly, but then they're doing a good job as well. So the championship teams are coming for the Premier League teams this particular week. But I'm good. I'm happy that we got the result at the end. And I was actually, to be honest, I was expecting us to go to penalties and then Kepa becoming the hero. But, it happened. It happened in the the added time itself. So all in all, happy, but then definitely should have done a better job, Chelsea Football Club.
1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. The only thing that makes it even worse to what you just said, Plymouth aren't even in a championship; they're in League One. So but yeah, it's a madness. It's a madness. Jester, thank you for joining us once again. Obviously, I will let you, whoever you want to throw shade at later. Well, you can also throw some shade now if you want, but at least we won, I suppose, right?
Well, you forgot the third amigo from Spain, and our captain for the day might not be here too much longer.
He scored the other goal.
Yeah, he scored the first goal, and what a back heel! That was more saucy than anything you saw from the attacking play.
For sure.
So it was the three amigos from Spain.
Gianfranco Zola reincarnated, man.
So yeah, I'm not gonna take too much time because we've got a lot to go over. So I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch two fullbacks score today against a League One side that's 7th place. That's all I need to say.
Yep. But hey, imagine our fullbacks didn't score. Then we would have lost 1-0 and we would have been even more annoyed. So at least we have fullbacks that score goals. That's something, I suppose. It is something. Clutch, as always, bro. Thank you for joining. Similar thoughts to Jester, like we won, but there was a lot of things that weren't quite right, wasn't there?
I mean, until we got the second goal, I was a very unhappy young man. it's funny because I see there's a comment in the chat, and Alonso scoring always brings out these comments where it's like, yeah, we just need to play Alonso forward up. And it's like, it's not that easy. He's not that great. And him scoring, yes, today, it makes you forget a little bit of things, and thank God he did score. But it should have never came to the point where he scored. I mean, how much do we have on the field? $800 million worth of players today? Almost $1 billion. And we got to this point where we had to go 120 minutes. I mean, don't get it wrong. That Plymouth goalkeeper was on some smoke today. I don't understand where he came from because that dude was just saving everything left and right. But, it is what it is. Player ratings are going to be fun. So, I don't know. I don't know who to blame or who to be mad at. I know one person I can't even be bothered with anymore. So, I don't even know how I'm going to talk about that.
Just one person that you're done with?
Just one person, yeah.
Just one?
That's the question I have.
Well, I guess they're all in my boat now.
And my question is, when it gets to value of players, does it still count when you've been scammed? Because if we count the fact that we got scammed a bit, it's only 700 million anymore, so it's calm. Bloody hell. We'll get to it. Let's talk about the lineup for a second, because we started with essentially our strongest team. Pretty much nearly, obviously with Thiago Silva not quite being fit yet or not quite being ready after being out to international duty. And the same goes for Christian Pulisic, but chances are these days Thomas Tuchel wouldn't have started Christian Pulisic regardless of whether he was here or not. But yeah, we had a 4-1-4-1, 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it. Same thing, essentially. Back four, Kepa in goal. Centre-back two of Andreas Christensen, Antonio Rudiger. Malang Sarr, my guy, at left-back. Azpilicueta, Zola himself at right-back. Jorginho as the DM, of course. Then 2 8s, one more attacking than the other, I suppose. Mateo Kovacic and Mason Mount with Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left. Hakim Ziyech again on the right. And shocker, Romelu Lukaku up top. Yeah. So, that was something. Your reaction to the lineup when you initially saw it, was it stronger than you expected, VJ, or did you think we would go with this strong of a team?
No, honestly, I felt it was a bit stronger than I expected. But I also thought maybe this was kind of a warm-up game for the Club World Cup, because they're coming from a break. Maybe we'll play them for 50-60% of their total play, and then we'll probably rotate because we've got 5 substitutes. I thought we'll put up a very strong, a strong squad, but did not expect this strong of a squad. The rest. Even this squad was not enough.
It was not. Well, I suppose at the end a little bit, but we needed the subs. Clutch, what about you? Stronger than you expected? Obviously, we were here on the preview yesterday. I pretty much expected this team. Obviously, we didn't do predicted 11, but if someone asked me for predicted 11, I probably would have named this team, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Aside from potentially Alonso instead of Sarr, but otherwise, I was pretty confident it would be this team. But still surprising to you or not really?
No, I mean, Tuchel yesterday said he was going to show them respect and come out with a strong squad. So, I mean, I pretty much expected this. Tuchel's going to do everything he can in these late stages to get trophies now that we're out of the Premier League title race, I think. And I'm really glad he kind of did go for a stronger team, because apparently they came out to play. So if we didn't come out with a stronger team, then we might have had a bigger problem on our hands. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you can only do what you can to get the players into a rhythm. One of the things we've been constantly clamoring for is consistency within the lineup. And Thomas Tuchel for the last 3-4 games has been giving us the same lineup, despite how bad they're playing, which is a problem within itself. But, I mean, I kind of expected it, so no real surprise for me.
It's a weird one, because obviously in hindsight we can say, oh, thank God we played a strong team. But who knows if a less strong team wouldn't have tried harder and therefore played better, you could argue. So that's always the thing which you're never sure about in hindsight, I guess. Jester, what about you? Did you expect this strong of a team?
I actually tweeted about it because I knew that some Cobham stands out there would get butt hurt. These players haven't played. Most of that starting lineup hadn't played in 2 weeks. Yeah. You got to put them out there because they haven't played in 2 weeks. And there are some people that came on hadn't played in a month. So you have to get game time. So why play kids when you have a first of all a starting lineup that is not playing very well, and second, do not have any rhythm because they haven't had game time in the last 2 weeks. You had to start strong. There's no reason. It's not like we were in a flow of game after game after game. We had 2 weeks off. There's no excuse for fitness or anything else like that. Everybody had their legs back. So I don't want to hear about fitness, or I can understand rust from a few players that haven't played in a month, but overall, it's just not good enough. Not good enough from the attack. And I think that he played Lukaku because he has to. The board paid £100 million for this man, or around there, whatever you want to say, give or take. He's got to play him. You just can't sit another £100 million player on the bench.
I hear you, but the player who's just £25 million less than him, Havertz, hasn't seen the light of day for a month, which is like, I completely get what you just said and what a lot of people obviously say when it comes to Lukaku starting games. I get it. But when it comes at the cost of Havertz, who is our second most expensive player, it's a bit strange. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you could look, when Havertz came on, we played a lot better because I don't care where you play that man on the field, what position he was playing. I know he came on for Callum, but he was playing a lot more narrower than Callum was, almost like a second striker at times. Yeah. But, he's brilliant on the ball. Got the assist, and he's one that hadn't played in about 4 weeks. If not longer.
And by the way, completely out of position. I mean, yes, you're right, Jester. Obviously, he was more central than Hudson-Odoi, but Kai Havertz is not a left winger. And he was still better than what Lukaku and Hudson-Odoi did. I mean, do I think Havertz was great? No. Should he have scored from that? Kepa should have had an assist today. Should he have scored that? Yes, of course he should have done. Should he have done a bit better in a few occasions? Yes, he should have done. But was he still miles better than Romelu Lukaku? Without a shadow of a doubt. That's that. Just to quickly run through it because obviously we might lose certain individual things when we talk about the players. Plymouth took the lead very early on. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to the player, but in my opinion, Azpi with two absolute howlers in the build-up of giving that free kick away. First, mistiming his header awfully, missing the ball from the long ball from Plymouth. Then the ball would go to Ziyech and he could comfortably have cleared it or started our own attack. And he basically steals it away from Ziyech, giving it straight back to Plymouth. Then Ziyech commits a silly foul, and from which free kick we concede, in which Romelu Lukaku, the bodybuilder muscle man himself, gets pushed 3 yards further by the simplest tap on his back, and we concede. So not only is he useless in front of the opposition's goal, he's also useless in front of our own goal. So that's bloody fantastic. And then it took us very, 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 very long to get even one goal back just before the break, or not long before the break anyway. Azpilicueta got it back. With a lovely back heel, like Zola, like Canu, whatever you want to do. Obviously, Zola's was in the air, so even better, but still. Assisted by Mason Mount. And then the second half, I mean, yeah, in a way we were better. In a way we were worse. It was weird because Plymouth arguably had more chance in the second half. Not arguably, had definitely more chances in the second half than they did in the first half, but they didn't score in the second half. And we were more fluid, but also, we hit the post, 3 times, or the woodwork 3 times in the first half. Was it all in the first half? I think so. So, yeah, you could argue maybe the second half wasn't even better. Is what it is. We go into extra time. Alonso scores. Malangzar gives away a penalty, but Kepa saves, and everything's great. So, just to quickly run it through for everybody in case you might have missed some of that and you're just here after you couldn't watch the game for whatever reason. But let's get through the player ratings because for to end things on a positive note, let's leave Kepa to last again, but let's start with the outfield players and let's start with the defenders. Christensen only played the first half. Not quite sure why he was in particular the one that was chosen to be subbed off. I didn't think he was particularly awful. Did I think it was great? No, but I didn't think it was awful. So I don't really know the logic behind that, to be perfectly honest. But, I mean, to be honest, I'll be very frank on Christensen and Rudiger. I just give them a very simple, 6, because I'm like, you weren't great. You conceded, but, when you concede from a set piece, it's not just the centre-back's fault, so I can't single them out. And otherwise, Plymouth didn't really do that much. And if they did, it was, if anything, the centre-backs that stopped them, you could argue. So that's why I'm just going to give both centre-backs a 6, if I'm honest. But I'll start with you, VJ. What do you reckon, Christensen? Is 6 too high, 6 too low? Would you go with it as well?
Yeah, 6 probably Yeah, we'll go with 6. The reason why I think Christensen was subbed off is because maybe Callum Hudson-Odoi on that left flank was a bit aloof in the first half, and probably we wanted some support on the overlap for him, which Sarr was not able to provide, and he usually doesn't provide that as well.
No, of course, but then you could have just taken Sarr off and brought Alonso on.
I guess that's probably a comparison between Sarr and Christensen, right? I think Sarr played a better game, or he was probably in a good run of form that he didn't want to be subbed off. Or I mean, maybe the management thought, okay, fine, Sarr has a good run of form, he's been doing good, rather than Christensen, who's probably playing his first game. Why to risk that? So maybe Christensen was brought off for that purpose. But yeah, Christensen's 6. Yeah, I'll go with the 6 or 5.5 to be I'll go with the
5.5 if you prefer, mate. Whatever you want.
I'm going to go with the 5.5.
Fair dues. I wouldn't be against the 5.5 either, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But let's see what the other boys say. Clutch, let me go with you. 6, 5.5. Would you go even lower than that? It's difficult, really. If I'm being perfectly honest, I barely noticed Christensen other than when he once committed a very silly foul at this sideline. Otherwise, I'm like, yeah, this is just doing basic things. We had the ball 95% of the time, what it felt like. We didn't really have to do much defending other than the moment we conceded, and that was Lukaku's fault, not Christensen. So I'm not really sure what to pick out, if I'm honest.
I think I'm going to lean towards 6. Most of the time I've seen Christensen, it was because Plymouth really wanted to try to put that ball over the top, and he stopped it like 95% of the time. So that's pretty much the only time I've seen him was winning the headers there. Other than that, not much. Same with Rudiger. So, I mean, I'd probably go for the 6. I mean, neither of them really had a lot to do, to be fair. So it wasn't, I mean, what did we have possession? Like 60-something, 70, almost 70 or something like that?
Probably more than 70, to be honest. But I'll check for you.
But yeah.
Anything more you would like to add, Gon?
No. I think... I don't know why he was taken off. I think I tweeted as like, so we looked at the first half and we thought Christensen was the problem. Hopefully it's not an injury, but hey, let's find out. Hopefully, I know Mount also might have came off with an injury. Hopefully those two are okay.
Hopefully they are, mate. Hopefully they are. Jester, let me ask you. Usually you tend to be like 0.5 or 0 point lower than the others on the stream. Let's see if that continues with Christensen. 5.5, 6, or even a 5 for you for it.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, I'm rating them. I'm going to rate people based on the competition we played. So everybody's going to get a little bit lower since we struggled against Plymouth Argyle. A freaking sock or a closed pattern.
I agree with that. But did Christensen struggle?
No,
as an individual?
No. I don't think Christian struggled. And usually, usually we would give him a 7 because he didn't do anything right. He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And the defense wasn't really to blame for, or he wasn't to blame for anything that went on. But because we played Plymouth Argyle, he's getting a 6 today because I just can't be bothered to have to get up at 6 a.m. to watch that crap.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here right now, big up yourself. I appreciate you very much. I was going to, already start the banter about Fulham being 1-0 up against City because that happened as I was preparing the stream. By the time we started City, we're already 2-1 up. So, cheers, City. But it is what it is, I suppose. So we leave Christensen at a 6 then, if we have 3 6s and 1 5.5. But I'll take it to the other side. Really good for you. Obviously, he did play the full 190, not 190, 120 minutes. Which is different to Christensen, I suppose. It's difficult, really, to compare 120 minutes to 45 minutes, I suppose. But I don't really know. But really good for you. I'll go back to you, Jester. Would you go with the same? Would you give him a little bit more because he played longer? Would you give him less because he played longer? It's a tough one for me, really.
Yeah, well, I thought Rudiger was probably our best center back on the day. Yeah. We'll get to Sarr in a minute. And if he had given me a patented Rudiger run, he would have got a 7. But no patented Rudiger run, you get a 6.5 today, bro. I got to have at least one of them a game.
Yeah, I think you will automatically see a few less of those when we play back fours. But I agree. I love a good Rudiger run. Who doesn't? Who doesn't, man? Clutch, 6.5 for you. Would you go the same 6 as you did for Christensen, or what would you do?
No, I think I'm going for a 6.5. I mean, he did have that over-the-top pass to Kai Havertz that should have got a foul at the top of the box. But, for whatever reason, VAR didn't go and look at that properly, I guess, when they pulled his arm back. That probably should have
But
been
it
a
was
red
outside
card
the
too.
box. So I don't think VAR could have done anything about it.
Couldn't have been a red card offense?
No, because the goalie had the ball in his hands. So
Okay. Well, oh well. Still a good pass from Rudiger to get to there.
yeah, it should have been a foul regardless. Like, it should have been just a free kick and a yellow card.
Well, I think if they give him the free kick, I think it's a red card at that point. Probably, but we'll see. I don't know, or not, we'll see. But
Because Havertz wouldn't have gotten to the ball. That's why I don't think VAR, because otherwise I presume VAR would have intervened.
I think he would have got to the ball, to be honest.
Do you?
I think he would have got to the ball.
I think it would have been a red. Because I think he would have got to the ball if he didn't get
I
pulled
don't think
back.
he would have got to it. I think he might have clattered into the goalkeeper, but I don't. But hey, that's the only logical explanation what that I have for VAR not interfering. And yes, I know VAR gets things wrong, but I have to think of logical explanations, and that for me must be they took it as he wouldn't have got there, so then it's not a red card, which makes sense. If you assume he didn't get there, wouldn't have got there, then it's not a red, I guess.
I got the reason why. There was a bold fraud on the pitch, not the bold fraud from yesterday, but a new bold fraud. I don't want any more bold referees on the pitch today.
Anthony Taylor yesterday, today different one.
Yeah, different bold fraud.
So no, today we had two bold frauds because Lukaku and the ref.
Well, okay, yeah, I'll take that too.
There you go. Sorry, Clutch, I did interrupt you there. Would you stick to the 6.5 you said?
Yeah, I'd go 6.5. I think Rudiger was just a tiny bit better than Christensen, in my opinion.
Fair. And VJ, you said 5.5 for Christensen to be fair. What would you go with for Rudiger?
I was about to give him a 6, but since we have 6 for Christensen now, I think Rudiger should deserve a better, at least a 0.5 better than him. I think we also forgot the last one. Towards the end of the game, there was another through ball from Rudiger to Lukaku, found Lukaku directly, but then we all know what happens when it finds Lukaku nowadays. So, yeah, nothing really transpired out of it. But I'd say, Rudiger had that decent run, but the one that you expect him to do moving forward, trying to contribute from the set pieces as well. He was in the set pieces for every set piece he was actually in, but he was not able to get his, get to the end of it. He usually does so. And I expect him to do better against Plymouth defense, at least when it comes to set pieces. A bit disappointment there, but hey, it's what it is, 6.5. I would go for a 6, but yeah. I think the average will probably somewhere be around 6.5 for Rudiger.
See, I would have also given him a 6. Like, obviously, he did a few more things than Christensen, but he also played a lot more minutes, which I can't really hold against Christensen. Hence why I would have given them both a 6. But if you say 6 as well, VJ, I will ask the chat. Chat, help us out, please. 6 or 6.5 for Antonio Rudiger. And Rex Rubin, appreciate you. Hello, I'm good. How are you? I hope you're well. But yeah, chat, please help us out. Let us know. Would you go for a 6 or a 6.5 for Antonio Rudiger? Because we're split 2 and 2 between those two ratings. So let me just wait for a second until the chat gets involved. I hope you will. 6, 6.5, 6, 6, 6.5. All right. So I've seen 5 so far. Get involved, guys. Get involved. Oh, 2 more 6.5s. All right. Currently 6.5 winning. Well, Shasib, you can't just cheat the whole system and say 7. It's not how it works. Yeah, it's just cheating. No, but I think I see more 6.5s here than I've seen 6s. So let's go with the 6.5. Because Malang Sarr moved into centre-back in the second half, let's go with him next. Yeah, I didn't mind him at left back. He attempted one cross, which was just awful. So he definitely needs to work on his crossing. But, Malang Sarr is my guy, man. Yeah, obviously he gave away the penalty and gave the ball away for him to have to give away the penalty in the first place. So that was bad. But otherwise, I thought it was pretty decent. But yeah, with the penalty, I'm going to say 5.5 even with the penalty given away because I think he wasn't any worse than Rudiger until then, to be perfectly honest. But I have a bit of an... I don't know why. I just like Sarr. I don't know. Because everyone just hating on him. Who's Sarr? Start the season when he played every now and again. Everyone's hating on him. So I like him now. So that's why I'm going to be a bit positive for him. So I'm going to say 5.5, but I totally understand if you guys are going to go a little bit lower than that. Clutch, let me go with you first this time. 5.5 too high for you considering he gave away the penalty, even if Kepa saved it. But obviously that's nothing to do with Sarr himself, is it?
Yeah, no, I think it was a really silly penalty to give away as well. I mean... Kepa was coming out at that point. Don't get in his way, because at that point it was just like 3 players getting ready to clatter into each other. That's a recipe for disaster. I'm probably gonna go 5. That last like half an hour from him wasn't that great. So I'd probably go 5. Other than that, he was pretty decent most of the game.
Fair. Who do I go with next? Let's do VJ. What do you reckon? 5, 5.5? What would you like to go with for Malangsa?
I'd give him a 4.5. Firstly, a couple of long balls that he attempted. Every single thing that he attempted for Cho in the first half was finding the goalkeeper.
And true. You're not wrong.
Yeah, and apart from that, the penalty, we're not talking too much about the penalty because Kepa saved it. Had it not been the case, then the game could have completely opened up, and we never know what happens in the penalty. So it would have become a huge talking point, but just because Kepa saved it, we're not talking a lot about it. So against Plymouth, I would be cautious. So when I look at that penalty instance as well, right, that was a tight shooting angle for the striker as well. You could have just pressurized him into losing the ball, or just been around him. He might have not, probably taken a shot on target even, because Kepa was there actually to save the ball. So it was a tight angle for him. He didn't have to actually commit the challenge. Those are the sort of, in-game, how do I put this? Mindset or in-game tactics that I probably expect from someone who's playing in a top club to do or to be aware of. I think he missed that. So for me, it's a 4.5 for Malang Saturday.
Fair. For the penalty, obviously it was silly and he shouldn't have done it, but I'm not sure if that was a proper attempt of a tackle. I think he might have actually tried to do what you just said there, and they kind of locked legs and then he brought him down. It wasn't clear foul, it's not debate, but I don't think he quite intended to even properly tackle him. I'm not sure. I could again, for some reason I have a weird bias towards Malang Sarr. Who would have thought? Chester, what do you reckon? We have a 4.5 now, a 5 and a 5.5. Where do you sit on it?
Yeah, well, let's go through the notebook here.
Please do.
So ineffectual going forward in the first half, they brought on Marcus Alonso. I'm going to say that one more time. So bad going forward in the first half, they brought on Marcus Alonso. Okay, secondly, what we're not talking about the penalty he gave up. He's the one that turned the ball over.
Yeah.
So you had a double whammy on one play. And does he not have a head? How is he putting his, using his left, about shoulder width high to send balls skewing out behind for corner kicks, which they're looking for set pieces to score. They worked on it all week. You could tell. That's what they were counting on. Or just hitting them in row Z off to the side. I'm sorry. Malang Sarr, you were a 4 today. And I hope they sell you soon.
Fair dues. I personally will not be as harsh on the fact that he wasn't doing that much going forward, just because for me, that's still... I don't think he's not doing it. I think he's just told not to do it. But he's also told not to do it because he's not that good at it. But yeah, I think Alonso was more brought on because we wanted more offensive things. We were like, come on, it's Plymouth. We need to be okay defensively anyway. But on the other things, there's not much I can really disagree with here. Where does that end us on an overall?
4.5.
4.5, I suppose. Yeah, probably does. Well, if we're being honest, it's 4.75, but that doesn't exist. So I'll let you have it because I know my 5.5 is more due to bias than actual objectivity. So I'll give him that 4.5. I hope no one's going to be at our throats for it. Shall we do Alonso first? Let's do Alonso first because I know subs usually at the very end, but obviously Alonso played 45 plus 30, right? So I think we can already throw Alonso in there. But let's do Aspi first anyway and then Alonso. Azpilicueta. Now, I touched on it already earlier. I think he effed up really badly before we conceded the goal in the build, like before that free kick ever got given away. I think he screwed up twice in the space of 3 seconds. But otherwise, it wasn't the worst game of his. He was more threatening than Lukaku, and that says something when he wasn't even playing wing back, but right back. So that's a bit mad. But yeah, he was trying some decent crosses, scored a lovely goal, nearly scored another, I think. Or am I confusing things now? I don't even know. I'll give him... Now, I would have given Rudiger and Christensen a 6. And I would have maybe given Aspie a 6.5 or a 7. I think 7 is a bit high, if I'm being honest, for anyone, other than maybe 1 or 2 small exceptions. I will say 7 just because, he scored, hence why I think he deserves a better higher rating than Rudiger, who ended up on a 6.5. But I think 7 is the maximum I would be willing to give, if that makes sense. Who do I go with next? Let me do VJ. What do you reckon?
I'm going to go with a 7.5 for Aspie. The reason why I say that is because he almost scored the second goal. I think it was the second goal, like the back heel. He tried another back heel. That went into as well. I personally think that was a goal.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that was a goal because it took a deflection from the defender. And for my knowledge of football, I think that should have been, that there was no need for an offside check. I think that should have been allowed as a goal. But, it's Chelsea playing, and the referees know what to do, basically against Chelsea at least. So that was one good thing. And other thing that I felt with Azpilicueta today is because the left flank was completely dormant today, the right was kind of overloaded, and I think he managed that well. We almost played like a back three, even though we had a back four, system on paper. Aspie was always in forward. Like he was trying to provide that overlap for, Ziyech as well for, whipping in the crosses. I think that kind of made the difference, kind of gave the space as well for Ziyech to put in multiple crosses. At the end of it, no one was there, but that's altogether a different scenario to deal with. But for Ziyech, I think his runs were very integral. So I think I'll go for a 7.5 in terms of his in-game play as well. Like he was quite good today, except for the first goal, the reason for the free kick, of course, but otherwise he had a decent game. I'm going to go for a 7.5 for Aspie.
Fair is, if I'm being honest, I'd need to watch that goal that obviously got given offside. I'd need to watch it back. I didn't notice the deflection, but not because I'm saying I didn't see it. It's more like it looked from normal play so obviously offside to me that I didn't even pay much attention to the replay, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So you could have a point there. A couple of people in the chat said you did. So tough for me to really make a judgment on it, but fair dues. Jester, what do you reckon? 7.5 too high, but 7 because he scored a little bit higher than Rudiger at least?
Yeah, He was running all game. I mean, yeah. I think that he ran himself into the ground, and I think he was cramping, and that's why he came off. FYI, you will start seeing Trevor Chalobah, if we stay in a back four, playing right back from time to time. And so that was good to see. And he was playing right back, and we didn't go to a back three. Mm-hmm. So I hate giving him a 7.5 because it's kind of not there yet. I'm almost want to give him a 7.25 if you understand what I mean.
I hear exactly what you mean.
He's like right in there, but he had a great goal. He played well with Mount and Ziyech. Always making the runs, clearing a body for space to open up. He was very, very good. The second goal was offsides. There's no debating that he was offsides. Although we did have 2 offsides go against us that were not offsides today.
What did we? Which one?
Yes, we did. Lukaku was called offside.
Havertz one, I guess.
And then Havertz was called offside, and he wasn't. Those 2 were not offside, and the linesman put his flag up. I thought they were supposed to be waiting because we had VAR. If it had to be very, very, very close. So for me, 7.25, I know that's not a thing, but my mouth won't say 7.5 for him.
There you go.
So
you just did 7.5.
Yeah, but I can't say Aspie was a 7.5. That can't happen. It was a 7.25 because we were playing Plymouth.
Fair.
I'm taking it because 7.25 runs up to 7.3 and 7.3 runs up to 7.5, mate. Sorry, I was just reading through here what Arno Michels, obviously the assistant that took charge instead of Thomas Tuchel today, said post-game. On injuries, we had a couple of little injuries. Mason felt a little bit, no, whatever that means. Wanted extra time with a shot. It was not a serious problem during the game. When he had this shot, he realized that he felt pain and we took him off. And we will see there will be further exams. I hope and think it's not going to be anything too serious. And, excuse me, let me just read out what he also said about Lukaku. on Lukaku, he said, maybe for him it is a bit tough right now. He's finding it hard to score or get touches. He's a little bit unlucky. Well, then stop starting him if it's not working. It's not going to work all of a sudden because you've tried 7 games in a row and it's been shit every time. But anyway, Clutch. We've had 1 7 and 2 7.5s, even though Jester would love to call it a 7.25. Where do you sit for Aspie today then?
It's really hard for me to give anybody other than like 2 players over a 7, but I think I screwed up a little bit earlier with my Rudiger rating, so I'm gonna take it in stride and say I'm gonna go with a 7 for Aspie. I think if you look at today, our attack pretty much was flowing through the right. Everything on the left didn't work. Everything on the right seemed to work, and all of our chances came from them. And I think if you see like all the key passes and stats that come from it, like they have a bunch of them on that right. Everybody on that right-hand side. So yeah, he was one of the better players today, so I'd go ahead and back a 7 for him.
Fair dues. Because Jester was kind of in between anyway, I will take it down to the 7 for that then. And I will read out the 2 super chats by Rex, which I haven't gotten to yet. Don't worry, Rex, I'm not forgetting about you. Here we are. The first one was still kind of about Malong Sarr, saying, if it highlights, please highlight. Thank you. He's young. He has a lot of potential. Why hating on him? Also, with up to 3 centre-backs leaving, why force a young player out? I'm not sure if you're reacting to the chat, because I don't think even Jester was talking about Malong Sarr has to leave or whatever, so maybe someone in the chat said it, fair enough. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, he definitely messed up today. Everyone is fully aware of that, and he got bailed out by Kepa. I mean, Sarr was more aware of that than anybody else if you watch how he hugged Kepa after. So he was clearly aware that I screwed up here. But yeah, no, I agree. And it's not really, hey, if Jester says, he thought he was poor, it doesn't necessarily mean, hey. If you think someone's poor, someone's poor. I will hate on Lukaku, but that's hate, not just saying he was poor. That's different. And on that, even though we'll probably talk about, well, not probably, we will definitely talk about Havertz in more detail a little bit later. Saying Havertz was class clear of Lukaku, in my opinion, completely agree. Lukaku PS will not fly at Chelsea any longer. See, the fear I have, Rex, is that it is flying his bullshit because he has played for the last 7 games in a row. And he's been shit in every single one of them. And he scored 1 goal, and that was a scrappy goal against 5th Division Chesterfield. So the fear I have currently is that it is flying. But hopefully it will change at some point. Hopefully he just doesn't get to, I said this yesterday, hopefully he just doesn't play at all in the Club World Cup. Because he has nothing to do with the fact that we're in this competition anyway. So in my opinion, you shouldn't even be allowed to travel. You should have to stay in rainy London and not be allowed to go in the sun. That's what I think. Just, I don't know, give him house arrest or whatever. Why not? But I think that's that with the super chat. So let's move on to Marcus Alonso. Scored the winner. Big up him. Did he do that many great things? Otherwise, not sure. But he was decent. We ended up with a 7 for Aspie. Do I think it was quite as good? No. So I'll say 6.5. But he scored a good goal. It was a good finish, especially on his weak foot as well. Good finish, unlike a lot of other players in our team today. At least it was a good finish. So I'll say 6.5. I would be okay if you guys said 7 because he scored the winner. That's fair. But I think overall he just wasn't as good as Aspie. Hence why I don't want to go as high as Aspie. Even though, they both scored, obviously. So let's see what you boys think. I'm Clutch. Let me go with you next. 6.5 for you. Would you go even lower than that?
I would go lower. I'd probably go for a 6. I think it's just an average rating. He got his goal, and for him, it's a little bit better than normal because he got his goal. And he was playing left back, so maybe I can't be as harsh because that's the position we expect him not to play. He did get up high, and he always found himself in the middle in good positions, but I don't think he was as effective other than just his one moment, so I'd probably go for a 6.
Fair enough. Jester. What did you make of Alonso, aside from him scoring, I suppose?
Yeah, our left side was better once he came on the pitch. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. Our left side was better when Marcus Alonso came on the pitch, and he scored. So for me, he's a 7 asterisk because he was a substitute. You know how we put the asterisk?
But he played enough to not count as a normal substitute, I think.
Okay, well, I think if we're going to give Aspie a 7, we played better with him there than we did the person who started, and he scored the winning goal. I got to give him a 7. And
who would have thought that Jester's out here giving higher ratings than I did, huh? Who would have expected that? Here we are. So I guess we sit on the 6.5 then for the time being. And VJ, the decision lies with you. What do you reckon for Marcos Alonso? 7 like Jester, 6 like Clutch, or 6.5 like myself?
I'm going to go with the 7. I think I'm going to agree with Gesture as well. The left side looked better after Alonso came in. It's hard for us to say or, kind of feel that, but then that's the truth. I think Cho with Alonso could have done a better job at that flank. I think that substitution could have been a better, because like Cho went off and then we had Werner playing with Alonso, which did not really help his cause, if I'm to be fair. Like if it was Cho, I think it would have been even more better for Alonso. So, yeah, 7-7 is a fair one for him. He was contributing to the attack as well, getting into those attacking positions that you would expect from Alonso usually. But defensively as well, he did not make a lot of mistakes that we can like pinpoint usually in an Alonso game. So 7.
Yeah, to be honest, like I can't even necessarily disagree, because you can't say that necessarily Alonso did much wrong defensively, because obviously we weren't really challenged much defensively. And if we were, like, as much as we all said, our right side was the better side, but because we attacked so much down the right side, whenever we were hit on counterattacks, it was usually down the right side. Not blaming Azpi for that, by the way. It just happened to be that way. Maybe also their better players are on the left side. Not sure. But, I can't exactly pretend like I'm an expert on what's their face, Plymouth now. But yeah, I guess we go with the 7 then. Big up yourselves, boys. Big up yourself. You won that one. Jorginho. In my opinion, he really wasn't great today. There was more easy misplaced passes than I can remember Jorginho ever having, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I will also say, especially the longer the game went on, the more Jorginho was basically doing midfield all by himself, because Kovacic and Mount and whoever came on in their positions later on in the game were basically just creating a front 5 with a back 4 behind, and then Jorginho playing midfield all on his own. You could really argue. I mean, even Azpi was up the pitch, so Jorginho was really...
the expectation was a bit high for Jorginho in terms of he had to play that lone DM, right? The lone sitting DM. And Plymouth actually targeted him also, is what I feel. Like they knew how to exactly press him and get the ball off him. He missed the ball a couple of times, and one of those times were kind of very risky as well. I'm not sure if I can recollect the exact minute, but somewhere around the 50s to 70s mark. He did miss the ball, and then that exactly went on for a very good play for Plymouth. Glad that they didn't convert anything out of it. I'm gonna stay with you on this. Jorginho is a 5 for me. Since it is a Plymouth game, even if it is a lone DM, I expect him to perform better. Because people always say, like, if it is a lone DM, Jorginho might not suit us and all that. And he just proved it today. Right?
For sure. I mean, I think, I agree with that. I think to some extent, it's also like when you play him as a lone DM, don't expose him, but help him. But obviously, because we were then trailing and drawing against Plymouth, we weren't then helping him anymore and basically letting him do everything by himself in midfield, which obviously makes him stand out as struggling in that role extra. Because we do that for every other player. I mean, what all we've done for the last 7 months is try to find a way to make Lukaku work. And not enough people are complaining about that. I mean, you could see right now, the second we switched from a back 3 to a back 4 and played Ziyech in a slightly different position, all of a sudden Ziyech is by far our best footballer at the club. Like, especially at least in terms of the attackers, right? Like, by far, he's like every game now since when we play a 4. He's just the dominant attacker. I'm not saying he was amazing today, but he was still better than all of the other ones combined. And that just happened with the formation change. So it will happen to everyone, but I agree. Jorginho, he struggles in that role, especially when he lacks a little bit of help around him. And you could see that today. You could definitely see that today. Clutch. What about you? 5 for Jorginho? Would you go a little higher than that? Would you go a little lower than that?
No, I'd probably stick with a 5. He did have a good moment where he recovered defensively in the first half. About the only time I've seen him do that. He was running everywhere, and unfortunately, he's not the fastest player we've ever seen, so he was getting caught out in situations. I mean, that's just kind of how it is for Jorginho. I mean, I don't think he can play that lone DM. I mean, we know that he's the reason why we switched to the back 3 is because we don't have that sitting DM that we can use. So, unfortunately, I still prefer this this formation, even if that means Jorginho back there. But we got to figure out a solution on how to help him.
Fair. But did you say 5? Sorry, I was trying to follow.
Yeah, I said 5. I said 5.
There you go. My apologies. Let me go to you, Jester, to finish it off for Jorginho. 5 too high for you? Too low for you? What would you go with?
I think it's fair. Again, playing Plymouth Argyle, and you're supposed to be the 3rd best player in the world, according to the Ballon d'Or.
When you say it that way, hey.
And you can't run that midfield. Look, if you want to help Jorginho in this formation, you put him on the bench. That will help him.
Yeah.
Okay. If we had Aurelian Tchouameni playing that position today, we win 6-0 because he's dropping balls over the top.
Right. I'm not sure about that one because we still would have started Lukaku, so we would have still drawn 0-0.
Hey,
but
he wouldn't even finish. Werner would even have had a goal today because we don't play any balls from the midfield over the top very much. It's always coming from the back. It's always coming from Rudiger or Christensen or Kepa even. But not from the midfield. Well, Mount, I say that. Mount did. But Jorginho is supposed to be the playmaker of that midfield. Get everything started. You got to get some cheap ones every once in a while. And today, we needed a couple of cheap goals to get them out of what they were going to do and put them on the back foot. And we never did it. So 5 is fine for me.
Fair dues. Let me move to Kovacic. Excuse me. Had as I would like to call it, a performance like Mason Mount had a few of around December time, where he had decent games, but nothing special, but had outstanding moments. Mount tended to score them and get the assist, while Kovacic was nearly scored 2 great goals, but just about on both occasions didn't because he hit the woodwork on both occasions. But for me, Kovacic was poor today overall. I know that he hit the woodwork twice. I get that. Those 2 moments were good. But in terms of, I don't think he contributed enough other than those 2 moments offensively. He played 1 good ball to Lukaku that I can think of. And he didn't help Jorginho defensively 1 bit. So then I'm like, so what did he do? Because he didn't do much going forward and he didn't do much defensively. So what did he do? Because he didn't drive with the ball much. He didn't help the transition much, I thought. So for me, I will give him a 5.5 for the 2 shots. But essentially the same thing as Jorginho for me, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, maybe some of you boys will disagree now, and I know some people in the chat will definitely disagree. But yeah, I would, and thank God Jester isn't here because he would be at my throat. But I didn't really see Cover do much other than the 2 shots, and those didn't go in. So it's a tough one for me. I'll go with you, Jester. Go on.
What you
Jester
said
is right there.
Yeah, you said, thank God Jester's not here. And I'm like,
sorry. I meant to say, thank God Pice isn't here because sorry. I misspoke then. I meant to say Pice.
Yeah, I think some of that, what you saw was the fact that he was playing with 2 wastoids in the first half. Sarr did nothing. Callum did less than nothing. But he still hit the post twice. I like the fact that he's shooting more.
True.
That's something we've been calling for. Shots at the edge of the box.
And shooting well too. Because remember 2 years ago when he was shot, he was hitting Rose head every time.
Right. I guess I'm going to go way opposite. I thought he was a 6.5 today because of his offensive work. And I guess I'm just highlighting the fact that he was playing with some bums today.
Yeah, that I agree with. Maybe that obviously the left side was clearly not as good as the right side, but I think that was not just due to Sarr and Odoi. I think that was also down to Kovacic a little bit, in my opinion. But we sit on the 6 for the time being. Let's see what the other guys have to say. Clutch, I'll go with you next. What did you make of Koba?
I thought he was a 6 today. The first half he had those shots, but I think he progressed the ball a couple times in the second half. He was looking forward. They didn't actually amount to anything, but he was looking forward to kind of push the passes forward. I do think he did perform that role well. Did he do as much as he usually does? No. That's why I kind of sit at a 6 because it wasn't as normal, but I do think it was a decent performance today.
There you go. Fair enough. I just distracted by that again. Not sure why that matters. But fair enough. VJ, what about you then? 5.5, 6.5, and a 6 so far. What did you go with them for cover?
Firstly, I'd like to start by saying that I prefer a midfielder who hits the woodwork instead of sending balls to Matthew Harding or Shed, right? And he did that. He came very close to that, and he's improved, tremendously in the way that he's starting to, shoot, and that's a very good thing. That's one addition to his game that we all love to see, because he has other abilities except for that shooting, and he's slowly starting to improve that. So fair play for that for Kovacic. But one thing that I also felt as a issue in this game is that you as a dribbler is expected to just run through that Plymouth midfield, or at least cross that midfield and then do something with it. But he, for some reasons, found it very hard to get past one or two players there in the Plymouth midfield, which I expect Kovacic to do, and he has been doing a good job in terms of moving the ball against Premier League opponents. And if it is a League One opponent, I would have just expected him to do a lot better. And a couple of passes where Kovacic sent one to Lukaku. There was a good 1-2 play with Ziyech and Kovacic, and Kovacic's first touch in the box kind of was a bit overdue, and the goalkeeper got to it. So those are certain areas that he could probably improve just to get better in the box, which is something that he needs to improve a lot at this point in time. But 6 is a fair score for him, because we've just given 5 for Jorginho. He obviously had a better game than Jorginho for me.
Fair enough. One thing I do want to shout out, because you've mentioned it a couple of times there, VJ. As much as it is in a way true, obviously that there are obviously a lesser opposition, lesser league, but I don't think we can just sit here and just always say, Plymouth, no matter how good of a day they have, will always be worse than when we play Burnley, when we play Newcastle, when we play Watford, when we play Norwich. They're not. Plymouth had a good day today. On the day like that, they weren't easier to play against than usually Norwich are. Obviously, Norwich can have a good day, and then they're better than Plymouth were today. But when Norwich have the average day, they're probably as good or worse as Plymouth today. So I don't think it's like... Also, some credit to Plymouth. I was very impressed by a lot of their players, like not just on a work hard level, 1,000,000%. Obviously, that's what most lower league sides do when they come up against big teams in the cup. But also technically, they had a lot of decent players in there. Like half of their squad is certainly better technically than Team of Werner is, that's for sure. So, and you can argue Lukaku.
Absolutely. So I know it's not straightforward to say just you should have just run through the Plymouth midfield, but then so this is the thing, right? One thing I kind of understand is that we don't have as much as data of that midfield as that of Plymouth has about us, right? Whenever we play against teams which is like League One, League Two, and all of that, our management doesn't have that sort of a data as much as they can collect about us. You get my point? Due to all this broadcasting stuffs and things like that, they can better plan against we planning for them. So obviously that will definitely play in favor for all the clubs that are coming from League One or probably below that as well. What I was trying to say rather is his quality is far better than that, and I didn't see that quality on the pitch today, right? I wouldn't really attribute to that being Plymouth very strong. I think it's more to do with how this formation really did not help him to dribble. He felt, I think he was better in the double pivot. He just dribbles past. In this one, I think he was not that. I think he didn't have that sort of a freedom, if you know what I mean.
I mean, in a way, yes, but in a way also, like, he didn't really help Jorginho anyway. So why did you not have freedom?
I mean, in the attacking space, of course. What you're saying defensively makes sense. He didn't go to the defensive front to help Jorginho. If it was a double pivot, he would have done that. His position would have, allowed him to do that. He was played a bit forward, and that forward line was a bit crowded for him to even, start dribbling. Like we had a lot of people on the forward today, like in the forward line today, that he didn't have that sort of enough freedom to just go do it on his own.
Yeah,
and Joe didn't help his cause.
Kind to Kovacic on that. I'm not quite sure how he would have necessarily had less freedom in this. I mean, the only thing I would say is obviously that Mount kind of hinders him moving around drastically, I suppose. But Mount was quite high up the pitch anyway. So let's get to Mason Mount, actually, on that note. Got the assist for Azpi's goal. It's weird because Mount had a lot of crosses today. A lot of them weren't that great, but I will also say our box coverage was awful 90% of the time, which is the problem when this player is the guy that hits the cross, because then this player can't go into the box to shoot and be on the end of the cross, which is kind of a little bit of the problem because Ziyech didn't quite come over enough when it was Mount out there. No criticism of Ziyech, I'm just saying. But a lot of the crosses weren't that great, but obviously he did get the assist. He did certainly make sure he gets involved, was on the stronger side. I'm not sure if I'd go 7 like Azpi or if I'd go 6.5. See, that's the problem, because I do think he was better than Rudiger, but I don't want to give him a 7 anyway, if that makes sense. So I will say 7, just because I do think he was better than Rudiger. But if Rudiger was a 6, I might have gone 6.5 from Mount. I'm not 1,000,000% sure. Let's see what you boys say. Jester, I'll go with you first this time again. Mason Mount for you today?
Yeah, I thought he played very, very well. That side played. I mean, they were everything that good that happened down that side. Started down that side. He was a part of that. He got the assist. He got us off. He put in good corners. I just thought we didn't attack him very well for the most part. And yeah, I think overall he was a 6.5, but he got the assist. You get 0.5 for that. He's a 7. He was very, very good, and hopefully he's not injured. Let's just,
hopefully
say a
he's
little
not
prayer.
injured, yeah.
Whatever God you pray to, or God you don't pray to, say it anyway that he's okay, because we don't need any more injuries. So, yeah, I thought he was a 7.
There you go. That's fair. Look at that today. Jester, all sorts of agreeing with us today. See, everybody's always slated Jester for being negative. Look at him. Give him Mason Mount 7s. Calm your horses sometimes, people. Who do I go with next? Let me go with you, Clutch. What you reckon? Mason Mount 7 for you. Would you go higher than that?
I thought Jesters was coming on here to say he was going to take a couple players out to the mud shed. No.
They're coming. I think they're coming still.
They're still. I mean, I'm probably going to agree with the 2 he's going to go for, but I'd agree with the 7 for Mount. I think he was very good. I think he probably could have had 3 or 4 assists, to be honest. I mean, he had a lot of passes that went into good areas. Also, it's not that easy when you have Lukaku running around in the middle, who's not going to attack any ball that goes any higher than maybe 5 feet off the ground. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I thought he did a decent job today, and he had a couple of nice shots outside the box. That one wonder save that the goalie made, I
still don't understand how that goalie saved it. Honestly, that's baffling to me. How's he done that?
I thought that was a really good play from Mount. So I mean, I think Mount was pretty good today. I'd give him a 7. I'd back it.
Fair. And VJ, finish it off for Mason Mount. Would you agree on the 7? Would you like to go higher potentially?
Yep. 7 is a good one. I think it is a beginning of this Ziyech Mount combination getting to the next level. They're starting to do, they're starting to look better when they play together, and that's a really positive sign for Chelsea going forward. The right flank is, for me, right now it is kind of sorted. Once we have James in, I think it'll be even more better. But we definitely have to work on this sort of a combination on the left flank, and that's where I think we are struggling. So for me, Mount gets a 7. He had a lot of low ball crosses as well, like not necessarily above the defender, but then trying to cross the ball low. Initially, he tried crossing it high up in the air. He noticed that no one was getting it to the end of it. Then he started to cross the ball, on the ground, and I think that helped Azpi as well.
The reason for that, by the way, why he thought that, because I've created a new song, and it goes like this: have you ever seen Lukaku in the header? Have you ever seen Lukaku in the header? Do you know what I mean? Like the Gerrard song, because no one's ever seen him win the league. But I've never seen Lukaku win a header he had to fight for. Well, the guy has the low, like on FIFA, if we're talking about EA FIFA stats, the guy should have -20 in jumping power. I've never seen a guy go more than that far off the ground. What is he doing? Like, the guy's such a waste of... I don't even want to write his name down. I want to just write down 100 million wasted. That's what I want to write down. Pissing me off, man. Anyway, sorry. We're not even there yet. Hakim Ziyech. Some more positive things. No, you know what? Let's mix it up. Let's do negative first, then positive, then get to very negative. Hudson-Odoi. You know what, Jester? I'll let you have the floor first. Hit me. How upset were you and why were you upset with him?
Well, because Christian Pulisic scores in the first half if he's playing Hudson-Odoi's position. You know how many back post crosses Ziyech put in? He wasn't there for but one, and he almost scored. It's amazing. If you make far post and near post runs, you will score. There was enough balls coming in. Those runs were not made from the left side. One time when he had the header that hit the crossbar. That's it. And those runs were there to be made, and you didn't make them. On top of that, you didn't do anything. You fell on the ground one time going into the box. You got no left foot. The best best thing he did all game was a defensive. He stopped a transition at the top of the box, of our box, on defense. You're an offensive player. The best thing you did was on defense.
Yeah, it's true.
You get a 3 today. Go slice me some oranges.
Not sure what you're trying to say with slice me some oranges.
But I call him orange.
I don't get, but
no, I call him Orange Slices FC because in America, when we played soccer as a youth, that one of the mothers was always brought orange slices for halftime. So you get the little vitamin C, little refresher. Go slice some oranges, man. Let's go.
Testa comes up with the most random analogies. I love it. Big fan. There you go. VJ, I'll go with you next. Callum Hudson-Odoi, 3 for Jester. To be honest, I thought you'd go lower than that, if I'm honest with you. But what do you think, VJ?
I'll go with the 3 as well. At one point in Twitter, I actually tweeted out saying that just dribble past straight to Allianz Arena, because he was like, where was he running into? Like, he dribbled, and then there was no one, and he did not take a turn. He did not stop the ball. I didn't understand what he was trying to do. He was just dribbling straight to Matthew Harding. Like, what are you trying to basically do? I was struggling to try and understand what he was trying to do. Like, there is a bit of argument. Yeah, there was no support on the overlapping side by the back four and all that. But all these runs that he made, he didn't require any support. He basically crossed the man, and he was free to make a cross. And that point, he didn't have control of the ball, and that's why it just went out of play, right? So I don't get this, people trying to defend Cho, saying that had there been an overlapping player, he would have done better. No, in this game at least, no, because he crossed his man. There was no one else to deal with, and he missed the ball because he didn't control the ball properly. So that's one problem with Cho, and the second one is that he really has to start beating men. Like, even today when he started, when I say beating the man, I'm not talking about he doing it. I'm basically telling about things that he did with like the 1-2s and stuff with Kovacic or Jorginho at times that allowed him to beat the man. It was not that he himself did that, right? Those passes were fine, that allowed him to beat the man. I think Cho gets a 3 for me. He really should improve. And against Plymouth, I would have definitely wanted him to do a better job. Not sure if we can still rely on him to perform for the entire season on that left flank. But the option that we have, Werner, don't even get me started there. I think right now, Callum Hudson-Odoi really have to step up. Otherwise, he's out this transfer window.
Fair enough. I mean, the whole thing of we need to sell him, I don't think we need to be very careful, because we need to first try and sell all our deadwood. That's much more important than selling Hudson-Odoi, in my opinion. And then we already need to sign like 5 players. So I think we maybe need to calm back who we need to sell and who we don't need to sell. But some more awful news. Arno Michels also said after the game that also Hakim Ziyech and Azpilicueta came off with minor injuries. What is wrong at this football club, man? We were off for 2 weeks. We play a game against a 3rd division team, and half our team comes off injured. What is this?
To be fair, if we get the job done in 90 minutes, all three of them don't get injured. So
yeah, but they're professional athletes. They should be able to play 120 minutes and not be injured.
Yeah, they should. But they also should have got that done in 90 minutes, and that problem never exists.
Yeah, of course. But ability is a little bit different than physical fitness. Do you know what I mean? Like, the one thing is easier to control than the other, I would argue. But I hear you, to be fair, Clutch, I do hear you. But
why are those injuries not happening to Lukaku? I mean, at least if that happens,
you get injured if you don't move.
Probably because he doesn't run enough, that's why. Or he doesn't try hard enough to jump. But anyway, Clutch, Hudson-Odoi. We've had 2-3 so far. Would you go along with it? Would you go a bit higher? Would you go lower than that?
Just to be different, I'm going to go 3.5. I mean, there's not much more to highlight for him. He wasn't great. I even tweeted today that Hakim Ziyech is like far better dribbler than Callum Hudson-Odoi is right now. It's not even close either. If Ziyech was in the positions that Callum got in today, Ziyech scores like 3 times. Because there were many times when Callum was one-on-one with the defender. And I'm told that's why he's in this team, is because he's going to take on a defender one-on-one and he's going to beat him. And he's going to make something of it. Every time he just dribbled right out of bounds or dribbled to the byline and then passed it back.
It's like, just too slow all the time.
I do think there's a good player there, and I hate to say it, but it's just we're trying to push a 21-year-old kid as this developed player. He's been in the Premier League 4 years now. He's been learning for 4 years now.
All right, but a year of that he's been injured.
Which I think is a major. That's how I was getting to that. I think that was a major point for him. That's his turning point where he like starts to regress. But at this point, I think he needs to get some time, maybe somewhere else.
Bro, who else would you have started left wing then?
Today, I mean,
exactly.
Today, yesterday I even said we should start show, but we're getting to this point where today I was calling for Werner to be played in left wing. I'm scared when I start saying that.
But then Werner played, and didn't you change your mind? Because I did.
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
We could have played Kennedy, but...
The nostalgia in you saying that.
But doesn't that just say everything about where we're at right now? That we're calling for Kennedy to be coming off the bench?
All right, don't disrespect Kennedy like that. Okay, you said 3.5. I'm going to be harsher. I'm going to say 2.5. Leaves us at the 3 anyway. But the only good thing he did was hit the bar. And that wasn't even good because he should have scored. Like, didn't play a single good cross, didn't play a single good ball, didn't run anyone useful. But this is a Plymouth League One defense. Like, we're talking about, like, on the ball, pressing-wise, tactics, they can do their thing. And like I just, encountered to what Vijay said earlier about the midfield. I think it comes more to tactics than having a good or a bad day. I expect Callum Hudson-Odoi to run past every League One defender, however many times he wants to. And he didn't achieve it like once today, is what it felt like. He probably did once or twice, but it was just infuriating to me. Absolutely infuriating. But still, no one here is infuriating as Lukaku, and I don't understand why Lukaku is never subbed off, no matter what he does. It's honestly pissing me off so much, you have no idea. But let's throw some more positive things out there. Hakim Ziyech, even though he didn't score, even though he didn't get an assist, even though he should have had multiple, including one for Callum, including potentially one for Kova if Kova doesn't hit that or doesn't get that first touch so heavy when he rolled it into the goalkeeper's hands, unfortunately. Had a couple of decent shots as well, even though maybe on some occasions he got a bit frustrated and started shooting a bit too much when the shot path was clearly blocked. But I think, even though he had no goal involvement, I think he was our best player, and therefore I'm going to give him a 7.5, higher than anyone else. That's my simple reasoning. Do I think he was amazing, mesmerizing? No. But do I still think he was the best player and the one that tried, him and alongside Mason Mount, to try to command and take the game by the scruff of the neck and do something? It was him first and foremost, second Mason Mount, third Aspie that did those things, in my opinion. But yeah, I think him first and foremost. And I'm very happy to see it, honestly. I mean, someone tweeted it. We didn't sign anyone in January, but because we changed formation, it looks like we got Ajax Hakim Ziyech all of a sudden. And he almost feels like a new signing at the moment. So that's quite good. So yeah, I'm going to say 7.5, but I'll see what you boys have to say. Flash, I'll go with you first this time. What do you think? 7.5 too high for you, or would you go along with it?
I want to go an 8. I thought he was pretty good today.
No, it's fair.
I think he was really good. I really want to give love to Ziyech. I mean, one thing I really wanted to see from him is consistently good performances. And if somebody was going to make something happen today, it was going to be him or Mount. That was, unfortunately, like I said earlier with Mount spamming crosses, you have Lukaku. He had a lot of good passes to Lukaku through the middle. He had one that Lukaku just kind of boffed and turned right into the defender like 3 different times. But I want to give him love. I'd go for an 8. So he's by clear. I think he was by clear like the best player on the pitch for us. So I'd give him an 8. Yeah.
That is true. But to be fair, I gave Mason a 7, didn't I? So for me, oh no, he did end up on a 7. I was between a 7 and a 6.5. Well, off you go. Have your 8. There you go. Let's see what the other boys say. Vijay, I'll go with you next. I'll let just to finish it off. Vijay, what do you reckon? 8, 7.5 for Hakim Ziyech? What do you think?
7.5 for Hakim Ziyech. The reason why I'm not giving him 8 is because it's Plymouth. Had he got a goal, of course, that would have been an 8. Had he got an assist, that would have been an 8. But is that his mistake? I wouldn't say so, because the far post was exactly what he was trying to ping the balls for, and there was no one to finish it. Like how just mentioned it earlier as well, right? Cho should have been there, not just Cho. Any other player we should have tried. And I don't understand this logic when you know that this particular player is going to cross in. Everyone knows on the pitch he is the one who's going to cross in the ball, and that cross is going to be like elevated and probably
it's
to
like
Lukaku.
No one told Hudson-Odoi that there was no wing back behind him. He moved central as if he had a wing back to pick up those loose crosses.
Yeah, and that's what I find it hard to understand. Like, you should be knowing where to position yourself in the box, and if you don't know that, it's going to be very hard for even all these players to like today we are actually saying that Ziyech played better, but there's nothing to show that. Like after let's say in the summer we talk about this, we'll probably forget this game completely. We'll say yeah, he was decent in that game, because we'll not know those things because the stats doesn't reflect that. And why is the stat not reflecting? It's because of the players not getting to the end of those crosses. Brilliant crosses, all of that from Ziyech. No complaints there. Should have got at least to the end of it, like Lukaku, Hudson-Odoi. So they're very static, and when they try to be dynamic, they're very slow to do that. And I'm really baffled by the way that whole left side played along with Lukaku. But Ziyech today, good play. That's probably what you can expect maximum from a one player, if that is the only player who plays best game on the pitch. Maybe an individual brilliance at times, but you cannot expect a Tottenham goal every single time, right? A 7.5 for me for Hakim Ziyech. This formation change has really, I'm not sure how the other players have reacted to this formation change, but he seems to have grown in confidence because of this formation change. And he seems to have now started to contribute a lot in defensive aspect as well. I saw Hakim Ziyech running thrice till the end of the pitch, like on the defensive side, just to make that defensive tackle there, right? Hakim Ziyech a year back or 6 months back in the 3-4-3 wouldn't have done that. Probably got a lot to do with his confidence and stuff. But it's also improving his defensive work rate, which is another aspect that we'd like to see from Hakim Ziyech. We know that he cannot do it because his physical attribute doesn't allow him to do it, but he's really running with the man at least. That puts a bit of pressure on the man, right? And I like the way Hakim Ziyech has been playing. Good job.
Same. There you go. I agree. Jester, to finish it off, 7.5, 8. Maybe you'd go 7 like Mason Mount. What would you go with?
Yeah, I can't give him more than a 7.5 and here because there was no end product off anything he did. Not that some of that is his fault.
Yeah.
I think he probably had the best game of any player not to have any end product. He did everything else. Yeah. He played defense, he hustled. He was our most threatening player. But I find it hard to give over a 7.5 when there's no goals or assists coming off of that. Again, not his fault. And the reason he got frustrated toward the end and just started shooting because nobody was getting on the end of his crosses. Again, say what you will about Christian Pulisic, but the one thing he will do is make near post and far post runs in the box.
Especially when he's playing on the left.
Yeah. And like I said, if you do that with Ziyech, he's going to reward you with at least 1 or 2 balls that you have a chance to put away.
Completely
so
agree.
For me, he was the man of the match, and the only reason I can't go higher than 7.5, no end product. There was no
the opposition, I suppose. Yeah.
But he was brilliant. We just need to put somebody on the other side that will match up his crosses with runs. So yeah, brilliant game from Ziyech. I don't mind keeping this Ziyech around. If we go back to the other Ziyech, I don't want him there. But this Ziyech, we can keep.
He's decent, isn't he? He's quite good.
Yeah. There you go. Good.
There you go. Ziyech with the 7.5. Let's go to Lukaku. I can't remember all of the last 7 games, but I don't think I've given him more than 2 in any of his last 7 appearances, which is fantastic for him. Another 0, just because I don't do minors, because, you know, otherwise, how long is how many numbers of minors can I do? But yeah, 0. There was a couple of acceptable things he did the longer the game went on. Once when he set up Mason, which led to the wonder save from the Plymouth goalkeeper. I personally didn't think the through ball to Werner was that bad. I think Werner should have not shit himself and gone for that. Because either you cause a red card, and at the time it was still 1-1, mind you, or he gets a goal, or at least comes into a position where he can score or shoot. But he backed out of it. That could have been a potential assist for Lukaku. But otherwise, he literally did everything wrong. He was the one that failed to defend the free kick. From which we conceded. And, you know, big Lukaku, you know, as everyone was hyping, he can hold up everything. He's so strong. He's so amazing. Bro, the guy touched him on his back and he flew forward as if he's bloody Buzz Lightyear. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has a jetpack on his back and just moving forwards through the air. What is he doing, man? Like, absolutely ludicrous. And there was one touch he had in the box. I'm like, bro, are you serious? And his timing, like people were saying Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham's timing is so superior to current Lukaku. I'm not saying Lukaku ever, but current Lukaku, in whatever the reasons for his dreadful form are, whether it's himself feeling bad for giving an interview, whether it's himself feeling bad for being here, whether it's, I mean, he even warmed up in an Inter-kit today and it still didn't help. What can we do? What more can we do? And also, Nizar Kinsella, my good mate, really, non-biased. He's a Man United fan, by the way, if people didn't know that. Non-biased journalist. He was telling me that cross from Ziyech, I think it was, where Lukaku literally just stretched his foot too slowly. He was telling me he would have had to detach his leg from his hip to score that. I'm like, sorry? Everyone's finding excuses for that man up there, honestly. Like, no, he could have just stayed onside and still got it. But no, he can't get his timing right. He can't jump right. He can't run right. Like, even the timings for his run, there was 1 or 2 good balls he would have received, and he stopped his run at the wrong moment every time. Every time. And he's honestly, like, the memes, I hope the meme starts, because Thiago Alcantara got memed for always putting his thumb up. But Lukaku, all he does is put his thumb up. That's the only good thing he does. I'm almost willing to give him 1 point for his 1 thumb up. Do you know what I mean? Like, how bad? Like, at some point, honestly, like, I know Jester said you think he's you know, Tuchel has to some extent forced to play him. I don't know if he is. Yes, we can speculate that he is. I'm not saying it's an outrageous speculation that cannot possibly be true. It certainly can be. But to me, it's worrying. Like, no other player in this team with 7 games like this in a row would ever be anywhere near the starting 11. Like, nowhere near it. And I'm not saying that Kai Havertz has been absolutely outrageously great this season. Clearly he hasn't. But, like, at some point, like, how much more shit performances are still going to warrant starting? Like, when it has to stop. Like, it just has to stop. I know I said a few weeks ago, at some point, I feel like he's just going to start him until he gets injured so he doesn't have to start him anymore. But he doesn't even get taken off. I don't see what he does good, honestly. Like, he seems, to me, he ruins everything. He ruins my enjoyment of watching Chelsea. He ruins no player seems to want to pass to him half the time anyway. And all he does when he does get a ball is complain and moan. Like, his attitude stinks so much. Every time he does receive the ball, arms in the air, moaning here, moaning there. Like, what are you doing, man? Sort yourself out. You're a 28-year-old big man. Like, giving it all the large ones every time, and you can't even have the attitude to not be annoyed all the time. Like, the other players should be annoyed with you, not you be annoyed with them all the time. And I don't want to sit here every fucking player ratings live stream and rant about Lukaku. I don't want to. I wish I just wouldn't have to see his face, but he keeps starting. And Thomas Tuchel, I love you. In my opinion, greatest manager in the world as of right now. But this needs to stop. It needs to stop. He cannot keep playing. It is unacceptable that, like, what kind of meritocracy, what kind of dressing room environment does that create when someone plays 7 games in a row, like pure dog shit, and still gets to play? Like, that is not fair. That is just not fair on everybody else. And it can't be that everybody else is treated by some sort of meritocracy. Not always, I understand that, but it's for no one this season has it been this extreme, where 7 shit performances in a row. 7. Like, he's never gotten more than 5 from anyone on these player rating live streams. And some of these people on these live streams, player rating live streams, like Lukaku, and still he's not gotten more than 5 once. How does he keep playing? I do not understand. Clutch, you hear the most with me. Please share your thoughts.
I'm gonna rate Lukaku a no, because I don't want to do it anymore. I can't be bothered after this anymore, and I don't get it. I felt like I was watching The Price is Right. I was waiting for Lukaku's name to be taken off, and it just never came. 120 minutes and it never came. And I just don't know how Tuchel, from even home, I don't care, they can understand your decision to take him off. How would you watch 120 minutes of that game and not understand he's the problem? And he was the main problem. I don't get it. Thomas Tuchel is insanely brilliant. And yet here we are, 120 minutes with Lukaku, with one good moment to Mason Mount. That's it.
And that was a 5-yard pass. Like, even that wasn't special.
And even that, if that's all you can do, we can keep Giroud. I'll go pay. We'll even send him back for Giroud. I'll take 37-year-old Giroud or whatever.
Lukaku won 1 out of 6 aerial duels and none of his ground duels. You say bring back Giroud. Giroud would be a million times better.
I can't be asked with him anymore. So, I mean, 0 doesn't even begin to describe him today. So, I'm just going to go with a no. Can we do a poop emoji? Do you have that on your computer? Can we do that?
Can I do what? Say that again?
Can we put a poop emoji next to his name? Can we do that?
I can do that.
I'd rather that.
I will make that happen for you. Give me a second. I will make that happen for you. I let it happen. I let it happen. I let Jester finish it off because, you know, I want to start with some cooking and I want to end with some cooking. VJ, maybe you start the cooking process for Jester already, but the cooking for you, bro.
I've come to terms with playing with 10 players on the pitch. Okay. And he played as the 5th center back for Plymouth today. Nothing else. Right. Basically, there were 4 center backs trying to cover all the headers, all the balls that were coming, to the box through air. And he was another player who did the same. Right. He was doing this for the entire game. And his movement is so slow that it's almost like watching one player alone in a slow motion where the other team is playing around him, properly, right? And I don't know. Again, this is the point, right? Sometimes I wonder maybe his contract has something to do with him being on the pitch every single time for every single game. I'm pretty sure that is not that couldn't have been the reason, but sometimes it makes me wonder. Maybe that's the reason why he is on the pitch. Like, did we sign a contract saying that Lukaku plays 60% of whatever matches Chelsea plays or 70% of whatever matches Chelsea play? Because if only that point is true, that can justify Lukaku being on the pitch. Otherwise, I don't see why he should be on the pitch. I really don't want to give him a rating, to be honest with you. Can I do that?
Because you can if you want to.
I probably go with Clutch.
That emoji, because the problem is this emoji is more difficult to find because no search word works for it because it doesn't want outrageous search words. So that's why I need to wait for another application to open so I can copy it. But
just copy and paste it from the private chat.
Huh?
Yeah, Clutch just provided that in the private chat.
I got you. Don't worry. It's in the private chat.
There you go. Cheers, man.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Clutch there. I like
Here we are.
Yeah, beautiful.
Big fan. It's quite amusing to me. Anything you would like to add, VJ, or shall we move on to Jester?
No, I'm tired of talking about Lukaku.
There you go.
I don't have strength left in me to talk about Lukaku. Please just take it away.
Who does? It's crazy. Jester, let me know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's all gone sideways, haven't it?
Yeah.
It's not good at all. And this thing's going to snowball, or since we have it up there, it's going to shitball downhill. Every game where he plays like this, it's going to get worse and worse. It's not going to get better. You would think. Look, I put out a tweet. I got asked what I thought the score of the game was, and I was positive 6-0. Lukaku hat trick, Remontada, here we go. Because, hey, you can only be negative for so long until it starts hurting your heart. It starts physically affecting you. So I was hyping, wanted to put some hype behind his name, thinking, it's Plymouth Argyle. Of course he's going to ball out against Plymouth Argyle. Bro, I've never seen a score of a poop emoji before. That's a first for me.
To be fair, I wouldn't have come up with it. That was all clutch.
Is there really anything else you have to say? The poop emoji looks like he got more life than Lukaku did during the game. And it's an emoji. It's not even real. It's just, you're playing against 3 center backs, dude. You're going to have to drop into space and pick up the ball sometimes.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the comment.
Bro, you need to get you some Docalax.
You need to. This is hilarious. Sorry, Chester.
Do we need a colostomy up in here?
Someone does. That's for sure.
Wait, somebody in the chat said we don't use him correctly. We did. For like 3 games, we put him next to somebody else, and he was still trash. It doesn't matter.
Correctly.
And we're up to... Go ahead.
He's not going to have the space he had in Serie A. Tammy Abraham's balling out, and we got rid of him because he was awful for large stretches of the game.
Yep.
Just because he did it in Serie A doesn't mean he's going to do it here in the exact same formation. You can sell him next summer to Tottenham and have him play off Son when they sell Kane to United. He's still going to be crap because he's not going to get the same space.
No.
It's just not the same league. I watch Serie A. I watch Bundesliga. I watch La Liga. I watch Liga 1 sometimes. It's just not the same. And this guy has been, coming up to the all-you-can-eat bar in Serie A, filling this plate, and
3 times.
Yeah, as much as all you can eat, man. Look, I believe Inter's still tops in Serie A with him not there.
So, yeah. Without him, with Edin Dzeko up top.
Yeah, Edin Dzeko up top. So what does that tell you about Lukaku? Come on, the man's a stat patter FC. I wanted him to work out. I wanted Haaland really,
clear as well, with a game in hand.
Yeah, it is. Look, I wanted Lukaku to work out. I mean, you cheer. He's a player for Chelsea. He puts on the Chelsea shirt. He's got the badge on his chest. You want him to be that guy. He's not. He's just not it. And if you play Havertz in that position today, you start having Havertz and play him as a false 9 against 3 center backs. That works because it pulls them out from where they're comfortable. It allows space in behind. If Lukaku's just going to go up there and stand in the box, he's going to be surrounded by 3 center backs. You ain't doing nothing. And that's half your problem.
It's
because
exactly true.
You drop into half spaces and pick up the ball. You did that at Inter and just created sometimes for Lautaro Martinez. Why can't you do that here? No, we're going to sit there with our Timberlands in a bucket of cement. Dude, that's cement feet. I mean, it's like the mafia went after him and sent him to live with the fishes or something. He's still got cement on his feet.
He does. So much cement. So much cement. I mean, maybe that's why his legs are so big. Who knows? I mean, Ilias is not wrong. He is in the top 20 Premier League all-time goal scorers. That is true. And I don't think it's necessary that he can't do it in the Premier League. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is because people tell me, we're not using him correctly. Anyone that you signed for 100 million shouldn't have to used correctly. They should just be able to perform. Otherwise, you shouldn't have spent 100 million on them, right? If you pay 30, 40, 50 million for a player, like for Ziyech, we paid like 35 million, 40 million for Hakim Ziyech. Fair enough that he has certain formations in which he's better in and certain formations in which he's worth it. When you spend 100 million on a player and you are said he is one of the top 3 or top 5 striker players in that position, then you shouldn't only be capable of being good in 1 or 2 of those formations. That's just not how it should be. But let me just highlight this. I missed it there. Where is it? This is quite literally it. This comment by Adash here. And then he complains about other people. Like, who does he think he is? Who does he think he is, man? And again, Adash cooking here. Like Lampard said to Klopp infamously, you won 1 Scudetto and now you think you're giving it the big one. Like, that's quite literally it. That's quite literally it. Great comment, Adash. Big up. But yeah, that's the starting 11 done. Who else were the subs? Who else came on? Kai Havertz came on. Was Kai the second sub?
Yeah, I think Kai came in, and then Werner and Saul. Saul came in from Mount.
Werner came on for cover, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Which is a bit weird, but anyway. And then who did Saul come on for? Mason.
Mount.
And then at the very end, Chalobah for Aspie.
Chalobah for Aspie, yes. I mean, I think for Chalobah, we can just put an NA because there wasn't really much. Okay. Even though he had one decent interception, which could have potentially stopped the late situation. Kai Havertz, let's go to him and not have all this negativity of Lukaku. I mean, he was played left wing. And by the way, big shout out to Kepa. We'll get to his rating soon. Big shout out to Kepa because that was a wonderful ball to Havertz. And he should have scored it. And there was a couple of moments where he didn't quite work. But what I was a fan of is that when Timo came on, Kai was playing in midfield. And that I was happy with that because of what myself and Clutch and the other guys were discussing yesterday, where it was like, I want to see him. You tried again in that 8 role like Lampard initially did. I still think that or the 10 is his best role. Yes, he is good up top. But I do think as much as he is good and helps us work, I do still think that whoever is up top needs to score a bit more than Kai probably will, even at his very best. But I do think there is ways, like Kai Havertz is too good and too talented for us not to find a way to make him work. Even though I know we paid 72 million for Kai Havertz, he should be better in other positions. But the guy's 22, not 28 like Lukaku. It's different. Where is he 23 by now? Young regardless, right? But I'll give Kai... Intrigued with the chat. You know what? I won't go first. I know I just said my whole thing, but I didn't go first. I won't go first. I let Clutch go first. What do you make of Havertz? What would you rate him?
We looked improved when he came on. We looked like we had somebody who was willing to make a run in behind. So, I mean, to me, I think... what do we have around? I'm going to go for a 6, I think. I do think we were overall better when he came on. He did have a couple opportunities that he should have taken a little bit better, but he was the only one looking to make that run in behind after he came on. So, and he the assist for Alonso. So
yeah, true.
It was a pretty good pass from him. One of those classic little low passes that he makes. But I'd
holding his run well as well. Not just about not being offside.
Which is something somebody else that came on later does not know how to do. But hey, nope. I'll give him a 6.
Here we are. Fair enough. I don't think the 6 is far off, but I was probably aiming for a 2. But let's see. Jester, what about you? 6 for you? Would you go higher because you obviously praised it or praised the team when he came on a bit earlier?
Yeah, I thought, look, this is somebody hadn't had a touch in 4 weeks.
Yeah, true.
And came on and other than Ziyech was the best forward we had on the pitch or attacking player, whatever you want to call him. Because I guess he played a couple of different positions. Started out on the left wing, probably moved inside more as a shadow striker when Werner came on. I thought he was a 6.5 because when you say he was average, if you say he was average and he got an assist, you get 0.5 for the assist. He is at least a 6.5. I thought he was our best substitute other than, I guess Alonso, but I guess late game substitute. Yeah. 6.5.
Fair dues. Anything you'd like to add, or shall I move on to BJ?
No, I think it's been long enough.
Fair dues. It is true. BJ, what about you? 6, 6.5, maybe lower, maybe higher. What do you make of Kai Havertz today?
Probably a 6. He did get 60 minutes of playing time, which I think would do world of wonder for him. He looked obviously rusty when he came on. I think one forward play where he had Ziyech as well to square it off, he did not do that. Rather, tried to take a shot and did not go well as well. But I expect him to do better there. Those decision making has to be better in the final third, which seemed to have lacked for him. But again, he's coming in after a month's time, so a bit of leeway there to start with. And then as he progressed in the game, the game as well progressed for him to suit his situation. Right, you mentioned that Havertz slotted in behind Werner once Werner came in. I think that suited him better as well. And the way that he linked up with Werner for that particular goal and to provide an assist for Alonso, that's a good thing. Like, that is exactly what you get from Havertz. That movement is what you get from Havertz. He's the one who can glide in that attacking position. That's exactly what you expect from someone like Havertz. Initially, that wasn't there, but as and when the game progressed, he was able to do that. And I think that shows what he is all about if you keep playing him continuously. For some reasons, we're not able to get him continuous game time. After the finger injury, he almost was like, avoided by Thomas Tuchel for a good number of games. I'd like to see more of him. Maybe even replacing Lukaku in that forward position. Two players who can possibly do that is Kai Havertz and Pulisic. Both of them have different strengths when it comes to playing that striker role. Pulisic, you get that shooting ability. Havertz, you get that movement, and that's exactly what we saw today. And that's probably the reason why Alonso got that space to shoot in as well, because of the movement on that left flank. So I think he gets a 6 for me.
Now, I would say I might be tempted to give him the 6.5 as well, but that leaves us at a split. And I've seen what the chat has said already, so that will take us down to a 6 anyway. So I'll just save us that time and say 6 and give him the 6. But I'm very much on the edge, and I could have happily given him a 6.5 because it was a decisive assist, but he should have scored. Chester, by the way, you said earlier, or was it Clutch, that said there was some offside decisions that the liner got wrong. His shot at the near post, which the goalie put off another one to say, was those one of those where you said they were offside wrong? Is that what you meant?
No, I don't think so. We were allowed to play after that. Like, I think it was directly called offside, right? Havertz one?
Yeah, it was called offside in hindsight, but yeah.
I think it was the one where I think it was from a set. I think Lukaku played the ball, and they said Havertz was offside.
Yeah, I hear.
But he wasn't. He was. No, they said Lukaku was offside, and Lukaku was not offside when he headed the ball to Havertz. I don't know where the offside came for, if it was from before that, but the pictures they were showing on the TV, Lukaku was onside, Havertz was onside, and then there was another one from Havertz himself, who he looked. I mean, it was so close, and they're putting up their flag when they're told not to with VAR, right? And this guy was putting up his flag anyway. Like, what you doing, dude? There's VAR involved. If it's that close, you don't put your flag up. That's what they're taught. So it was just, for me, again, we've gone almost an hour and 45 minutes. Let's get on with it.
There you go. I just think that why I'm going to go 6 is because I do he had two big moments where he should have scored. Sure, the second one might have been just offside. It was at least given offside. But still, those two occasions he should do better with. But the assist was very good. So, but just because the chat is going to take me down to a 6 anyway, let's leave it at that. Timo Werner, let's try and rattle through this a bit. Vijay, Timo Werner, just quickly, what would you rate him?
5, 4.5 or 5, maybe 4.5. I'll go for 4.5.
4.5. There you go. Kester.
I'm going to say 5 again, and somebody who hasn't touched the ball in a month, and it looks like it, although he always looks like that. But we still were better with him on the pitch than Callum, so I'm going to say 5.
Fair dues. And Clutch?
4. I'm going to give him a 4.
And then for convenience sake, I'll say 4.5 and leave it at 4.5. Fair dues. So always the tough one. Didn't really notice him other than when he ran into the goalkeeper. If I'm honest, I'd be tempted to say NA. Does anyone have anything in mind about him to give him a rating? Clutch, I'll ask you first.
I didn't notice him. I'd probably go for an NA. I think it was just that seeing out that performance. Unfortunately, I had to come on because Mount got injured. Wasn't really ideal.
No, it wasn't ideal. Fair enough. Chester, NA for you, or do you have a rating to give?
Oh no, that's fine for me. I mean, I saw a couple things, but it's not worth time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And you, Vijay, what about you?
NA for me as well. Like, one time he tried to injure the goalkeeper because he was putting in a very good show. But apart from that, nothing else. Like, yeah.
There you go. No, exactly that. I probably agree. But hey, at the end of the day, Chelsea Football Club were through to the 5th round of the FA Cup Unlike a certain other team which bottled it yesterday, which was quite funny. But, big up to Middlesbrough. We discovered the one error during Lukaku won, is what Clutch said. Very true. The one where, well, I'm not sure if it counts if it was said to be offside. But anyways, yeah, we're through. That's all that matters. Let's go to Abu Dhabi now and hopefully bloody win that Club World Cup. Hopefully, I'm not sure if it will be possible or not, but hopefully, I'm not quite sure because the whole rules are you have to quarantine for 7 days, right? And I suppose, 7 days. If you test positive today, you could fly out on Sunday morning, I guess, after the quarantine. But I'm not sure what the rules in Abu Dhabi are. Jesse, you said something earlier, but Chelsea put it on the Fifth Stand app that they hope that can happen. So I presume they would have thought about it first.
I don't think he's going because of the heightened rules in other countries. But we did not rate Kepa.
We did not. I just saw that in the chat. We did not. Now, I will say I do think he should have done a bit better for the goal we conceded because that cross came into his 6-yard box and the goalkeeper can and arguably should come out and just punch it away. He didn't, but that's just unfortunately that and long shots are unfortunately kept us 2 weak spots. But outside of that, he should have had an assist for Kai Havertz, or at least a pre-assist if Kai squared it. He made a good one-on-one save against one of the Plymouth attackers in the second half. And he saved a penalty to win us the game. So from that point of view, just because I will give him joint with Hakim for that. Or shall we just do the goalkeeper separately? Because then I'm going to say 9. Because, 1 off for the goal. But maybe 9 is too high. I say 8. But ignore it like it's almost different. Shall we do two thingies if you want? But yeah, he won us the game quite literally with a penalty save and a one-on-one save and should have had an assist. So pretty good showing from a goalkeeper, you could say, with potentially his second to last game for a hot minute because I presume Mendy won't play on Wednesday, but I expect he would play the final if we get there, which we hopefully will. Touch wood. Chester, you reminded me of it. Obviously, 8, fair enough. I get you're saying if we compare it to the others too high, but what would you go for it?
Yeah, I was going to say 7.5 because I don't want to actually put him higher than Ziyech. I'll say he's on par with Ziyech because he did save our bacon when he needed it. And fair play. I think he's paid the contract back with a Europa trophy and a Champions League trophy.
Going to be interesting if he gets to play the League Cup final or not.
Yeah, so 7.5.
Fair. Clutch, what about you?
I think if you go in terms of the other players, it's a 7.5. But if we're giving him the double star rating, then yeah, I'd go with an 8. Like he literally, like you guys have said, he literally saved us today. He couldn't have done more. As a goalkeeper, he almost had an assist as a goalkeeper. He saved 2 big shots, one being a penalty. And I think, what did I see the stats? Since Thomas Tuchel's been here, he's saved like 13 some penalties or something like that. Or made him go over the bar or something like that.
That would be outrageous if that's true. That's mentally just over 12 months. But fair. I mean, I'm not fully convinced with myself yet whether I want to do the double star rating or not. But VJ, I'll ask you. Would you like to go with the same as Ziyech like Jester did, or would you like to go higher with almost a separate goalie rating?
I want to go with a separate goalie rating, to be honest with you, because I don't really see what more he could have done from his side. Right. And that's why I'm going to go for an 8.5 for Kepa. He did absolutely everything that he was supposed to do. No mistakes in the front, in the back line. He even kept the defense calm sometimes. Those backward passes that went to Kepa, he kind of dealt with it properly, relieved the pressure on the defense and stuff like that. He had an overall very good game. In fact, he saved a penalty. So if you look at goalkeeper separately, he saved a penalty today. He played for an assist. Also, his distribution was quite good, and him playing out of the back was good. So he basically ticked all the boxes for me. So an 8.5 for him if I have to give separately for him.
Fair dues. I think overall we sit down at that 8 star. We just leave it at that. And obviously, usually, ladies and gentlemen, we do a rating for Thomas Tuchel. But it wasn't Thomas Tuchel on the sidelines today, but it was still Thomas Tuchel who picked the team. And they were probably still in contact with Thomas Tuchel, but I'm not sure, do you know what I mean? So that's why I think we're just going to leave the manager rating because I'm like, well, am I going to rate Arno or am I going to rate Tuchel? I don't know. So let's just leave that one out. Fantasy PGA Tour, I'm not sure if you guys followed the chat, but he was very bored seemingly, but he did actually go through the ratings so far this season and gave us an average on every player that had at least played one half. And it's very fascinating, but just because the stream has been so long already, we will do that in the preview to the next game and not start it now because, like I said, we've already been going for an hour and 45. So we will leave it at that. But ladies and gentlemen, we still have over 200 people watching, which I massively, massively appreciate. If you haven't already, please be very much so sure to subscribe to my channel because why not? We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Hit the big red subscribe button down below. That'd be fantastic. Smash the like button for me as well. I'm not sure if we've even hit 100 likes yet because I haven't told you yet. So go down below. Hit that like button for me. Let's get to at least 150 because there's still over 200 of you here. So we can easily do it. It doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. But yeah, big shout out to Jester, Clutch, and VJ for joining me for today's stream. Check out VJ on YouTube, as you can see on screen, at SportsWire. Check out Jester and Clutch both on Twitter. Check out all of their stuff. Definitely won't regret it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea into the 5th round of the FA Cup. And we'll see you next time.